Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's show. We have a good one for you today as Trump seeks his way out of Syria. A new attack, the chemical gas attack, has attempted at least to pull him back in. The Republicans seize on impeachment edge for the 2018 midterms will be successful. And the crazy Hungarian election campaign. So that's a new one. We don't talk about that one very often. Alright, so we got a great show for you today. Happy Monday, everybody. We're in this till 200, baby. Coming up on 200 episodes. This is going to be pretty crazy once we reach that mark. Alright. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Hope you get the chance to come in and check out. Go to Spreaker.com or the Spreaker Radio Podcast app. It'll be on iTunes soon enough. A collection of great new history podcasts and a new history show, Global, How We Got Here. It's all about history, all of it. So I imagine any history nerds out there, you will enjoy it if you want to listen to it. So I encourage you to go to Spreaker.com/TSWS, type up Global. It's a big picture of a globe on it with the word global on it, so it should be pretty simple to find. Or you go download the Spreaker app and go search it up. It'll be on iTunes soon enough. We'll let you know when it will be there. It shouldn't be lasting too long. We'll have a 4 episodes for the next 4 weeks for you. And then we will have like a first season of 7 episodes. Yes, 7 episodes. So, that's how it's going to work. And then we will step back and reevaluate because we do have that for you. So, yeah, once again, just so you know, with those shows, it'll be 7 p.m. Saturdays live. All right, so we got to get to the news now. As Trump seeks a way out of Syria, a new attack ad has pulled him back in days after President Trump said he wanted to pull the United States out of Syria. Syrian forces hit the suburb of Damascus with a bomb that rescue workers said unleashed toxic gas, which is pretty mean to both of them and to us because we were about to get out of there. We're about to withdraw and finally do the right thing here, but the military industrial complex just gets a little bit more food there. So within hours, images of dead families sprawled in their homes threaten to change Trump's calculus on Syria, possibly drawing him deeper into an intractable Middle Eastern war that he had hoped to leave. So this is just not his fight, and we have been in there for so long in some way or another, in some place or another. It just seems to be absolutely crazy. Yeah. So that is the big thing. So, many dead, including women and children, in a mindless chemical attack in Syria. Trump wrote on Twitter on Sunday he blamed Iran and Russia for even singling out President Putin by a name. So here's what he said: many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria. Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by Syrian army, making it completely inaccessible to the outside world. President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing Assad. Big price to pay. So, that's Donald Trump. There's our guy coming in there and showing them the what for and the why not. Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't mean he will do too much, but I remember they did this about a year ago. Syria, they tried what's the poisonous gas with the S? Oh my god. I'm forgetting it. It's sarin gas attack in Syria. Assad did that against his own civilians, and there was 59 Tomahawk missiles sent his way. So there is that, and he does have that option again in his back pocket to use if he does. So that'll be very interesting. So yeah, his Homeland Security Advisor Thomas Bossert said that the White House National Security Team had been discussing possible responses and would not rule out a missile strike. The reported chemical attack on Duma, the suburb of the capital Damascus, on Saturday, it seems to have squeezed Trump's between conflicting impulses, the political and military stakes that he charged. As he charged the United States' future in Syria. So this is what he's trying to decide. Are you going to pull out? Are you going to come in? What is the situation here? And then it's one of the times where, I think, it wouldn't have made any difference to have Hillary in, because she would have been, she complained on, she is the incredible hawk. She complained. It's one of the reasons why I didn't really like her in the election. But still, I would have supported her over Donald Trump. And yeah, it just shows you what we could have had, and the chances are there would have been much more of a direct response here from Hillary than there would have been from Trump, just because she's more competent and she's more hawkish. So there is that to look at. On the one hand, he has emphatically expressed his desire to bring American troops home as soon as possible, and in line with his America First approach. On the other, he has vowed to punish some bad actors, and withdrawing from Syria could open up to criticism from home and abroad. So yeah, there is that problem of withdrawing from Syria, and there was that problem of course, there is the problem of bringing American troops home and fighting for that America First policy. So that's why I say when he's more hawkish than Hillary would not have that America First thought. Believe me, she would have that punish bad actors and punish them hard. So we use all the tanks and more that Raytheon makes for us. So the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria would now have a major negative repercussion for the region and beyond. Murhaf Jadi, the Syrian-American professor of international relations at the Emirates with Diplomatic Academy in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. That's a pretty long title. Professor of International Relations. Should have just been good there, but okay. Just last week, the presidents of Iran, Turkey, and Russia joined hands at an international summit meeting in Ankara, Turkey, to celebrate their successes in Syria and plot their next moves. The United States, notably absent, had not even been invited. By that time, Trump had suspended more than $200 million in funds for recovery efforts for Syria. I want to get out, he said at the White House last week. I want to bring our troops back home. Trump's aides talked him out of an immediate withdrawal, but Trump made clear that he wanted the troops out within a few months. Senior administration officials said a decision that would alter the landscape in the way that would echo far beyond Syria's borders. I'm sure it would. I feel like it's, and I'm not, granted, I am not an expert on the situation. I feel like it would kind of be like the Syrians and all the other people there, they kind of would have that support of the U.S. It would be a little bit of a jolt, but I feel like they would eventually recover here. Again, I am not an expert, but that just seems to be what would sensibly happen, because they would maybe go back to fighting. Maybe they would, the best side would win. We maybe would stop. If we pulled out of the Middle East entirely, I mean, would things just resolve themselves? I don't know. Like, we've been in there for so long, it's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of hard to point to an example where there was a Middle East conflict that just resolved itself on its own, because we were in most of those conflicts, around all of them at some point or another. So foes of the United States have cheered the prospect of an American withdrawal, but America's regional allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, and its partners in Syria, dread it. Also people who just don't want to see us in any more wars that are not a direct threat to the United States. They also like it. Yeah, forget about us, New York Times. But that's just one of the more important things. So Saudi Arabia, I'm really not too worried about them. They are rich beyond their wildest dreams. Israel, they'll be all right. I'm kind of a little bit annoyed with them because they just kind of, over the weekend, they shot a Palestinian journalist who literally had press marked on the jacket. Literally on the jacket. They're being unfairly prosecuted. Okay. And then there's obviously the people who really do have it rough in Syria. They argue that American forces are still needing to provide a check on Russia, which considered Syria a strategic foothold in the Middle East, and Iran, whose proxies are building a military infrastructure in Syria to counter Israel. Withdrawals could also leave the door open for the return of the Islamic State in some parts of Syria, the very reason the United States gave for the intervening with the country to begin with. So, I mean, how about you figure it out? So, don't we have some of the best generals in the world? How about we figure it out so there is no possibility of any sort of possible turn in any possible way of the Islamic State? Like, there should be no way that we possibly ever see this Islamic State again. And if we do, if we get that fixed, that's great. And then there is no problem. So yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that we gotta be truly thinking here. Is this what we want to do? Do we want to be in here for the whole time, or do we want to broaden our horizons in kind of a way? Do we want to move on from this and make sure that things are okay when we leave? Granted, but we don't want to stay in here forever and be in these endless wars. They have to come. We should always have a vision of where they could possibly end at some point or another, in my opinion. Anyway, so the bombing that Mr. Trump was responding to was part of a battle between rebels and the Syrian government. One that the United States had withdrawn from long ago, in a part of a country where the United States has neither a military presence nor any clear allies. There is nothing to stop Trump from ordering a missile strike on western Syria, where the chemical attack was allegedly said to take place, and still pulling the approximately 2,000 American troops out of eastern Syria, where their main task was battling militants of the Islamic State. But the seesaw of withdrawal and deeper engagement without the articulation of a clear strategy for the region is sure to confuse allies and enemies alike. So maybe it's good to confuse our enemies, but maybe keep our allies informed. I'm just thinking about that. Personally, I think that's probably the best. I think that's personally the best idea. I think that's personally the best forward. Drop a missile strike just to know that we are still there. We got an eye on you, but we don't want to waste any of our American troops' lives and something that we don't deem to be entirely necessary, and something that in a conflict that we're not in. We're not even in this Syrian rebel conflict here. Like, that's the important thing to realize. We're not even in this Syrian rebel conflict. The battle of Assad and Russia versus the Syrians. We are not in that. We support the Syrians, though. We have withdrawn from that conflict. That's the thing. But the thing is, we're fighting ISIS, and if we have moved on from there, we will be able to bring our troops home, and that will be better for everyone, including the troops, and the fact that we are so they get to go home and see their families after a long time of fighting. So that would be good for everyone. Some politicians, including Senator John McCain, even argued that Trump's talk of a rapid withdrawal had emboldened President Bashar al-Assad to use chemical weapons. POTUS's pledge to withdraw from Syria has only emboldened Assad, backed by Russia and Iran, to commit more war crimes in Duma. POTUS responded after last year's chemical attack he should do so again and make Assad pay the price for his brutality. Pretty much, here's the thing. There is up to no, if not none, and by the way, get better John McCain, there is, we're not even in this conflict, and B, what he did last year barely had any effect. He just bombed an unused airfield, didn't kill anyone, it didn't strike back. I think it just damaged some airplanes, if I'm not mistaken. So, that was 59 Tomahawk missiles. And second of all, we aren't even in that fight in the first place. And it's unfortunate, and B, we should should condemn them in the strongest possible terms. But the thing is, we are not in that fight. So that's the situation we are dealing with. So it was not clear on Sunday whether Trump's tweets reflected serious planning for a military strike, or if the suspected chemical attack has changed its calculations about the necessity for a withdrawal of American ground forces. A White House official said he can provide no guidance beyond what the president had said on Twitter. So, yeah, that seems to be his position. It's all going to come down to what he sees on Fox News and what he sees on Twitter. That will be the most important. That's probably going to be the most important guiding force from here on out, because we are going to take this into account. We're going to realize it, and we're going to be like, okay, I guess he may say we're out on one day and we're in on the next, for all we know, just based on what he sees on Fox News. And that's just going to be our kind of path forward there. So we'll keep an eye on it, obviously, as the day goes on, and our show tomorrow goes on, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so coming up next, Republicans, they're seizing on the impeachment edge to get people riled up to vote for them in the 2018 midterm election. They are doing that next. This is the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Your show will return in just 4 minutes.
Pendo on the beat.